How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Today we got two videos in the same upload day. I know I usually don't post, double up on the same day like that, but I wanted to get this one out before, 2025 officially came around here. Even though I guess you could argue the first day of the year would probably be a decent day to do it, but regardless, I wanted to get this video out before kind of too much time had passed, and while it was still hot with a lot of game awards and everything happening. This is my personal top five game of the year or games of the year for 2024. I know there's kind of a spoiler warning here because I didn't really do a great job of hiding any of these. I'm kind of just more interested in telling you what they are, my reasoning, discussing it, kind of more than some big grand unveiling like a game award show. But yeah, these are my top five game of the years. We're gonna go through them all in order from I don't want to say worst, but number five to number one, and yeah, kind of give you my reasoning for that. Hopefully the audio and lighting's good too. I'm trying to do a new kind of thing with that, but regardless, yeah. So I kind of just want to hop into this, and I had a few different ideas of how I wanted to do this, and what I mean by that is like do I want to do different categories of like, oh, this type of game, and like kind of like the Steam Awards, where it's like labor of love, game of the year, best graphics, stuff like that, or do I want to do genre by genre? I decided to just go with, in my opinion, what the five best games of the year were for me. Now you'll notice I don't think you can see all of them based off of my cameras. I don't want to go check and switch screens here, but you'll notice that there aren't any VR titles, and I've been doing a lot of VR content recently since I've been back. Obviously, with the two headsets and accessories reviews and everything. I'm thinking about doing a VR, top three, top five games of the year for VR, or my personal favorite since I've been in the VR this, for the past several months here, and in 2024 with my first introduction year to VR. I think I'm going to, that's going to be an executive decision. But yeah, let's hop into the top five games of the year, in my opinion, for 2024 here. Kicking off with number five, Black Myth Wukong. Now, this was a game that virtually every Game Awards, discounting some that weren't focused on the platforms it was on. Virtually every Game Awards had this somewhere in the top three, top five with their voting system for good reason. Now, I'll admit the reason it's number five, which some of you may be kind of questioning, especially seeing some games that are in front of it. The reason for me this is number five, well, I think this is a fantastic game. Obviously, it's universally praised as a fantastic game, and it is. As far as action, like adventure combat goes, the fighting style in this game, the combat in this game is just, it's unbelievable. I will say though, and this is kind of a bias, and I'll admit it, is why it's at five here. I'm not a massive fan of kind of the more Eastern style of game, you could say. And you'll notice that on my top five list for sure here, because I don't have stuff like Final Fantasy VII, Rebirth on it, and some of the other games that a lot of people really thought were kind of contenders for Game of the Year this year. They were really good. I'm not saying they are bad or good. I'm just saying they're made for kind of a different market than what I look for most of the time, and that's not good or bad. That's just a difference in taste. And as you can see, I'm very Western kind of. I don't want to say gamer. It sounds kind of cringe, but a Western audience type. That's what I lean into. I will say Black Myth Wukong is easily an exception for that. I know it's not as JRPG or anything like crazy or anything. As far as Eastern game markets go, this is about as watered down and Western as that will tend to get. But still, it's something there. I think Black Myth Wukong definitely deserved a spot on the list. And it's in my opinion, it's the best, maybe second best combat game I played this year. It's definitely not outside of the top two, and it's a fantastic game that I definitely recommend you pick up if you have the money. So moving on to number four here, a sports game. Don't see many of these in the game of the year contentions outside of their specific category, of course, anymore. And that's for good reason. EA, say what you will about them, they've been voted the most hated company in America for a while now. EA hasn't done a great job progressing and making big changes and splashes when it comes to the more traditional title lines with Madden and 2K and FIFA or FC now, that's valid. But I think I had to put college football 25 on here. Obviously, people are going to say it's just a reskin Madden or something like that is kind of the critics' view of it. But obviously, there hadn't been a college football since college football 14. In 2014, in an over a decade difference. Maybe if they had progressively kept doing it, obviously this wouldn't have been as big of an impact or as big of a difference. But you take a look at them, it's night and day between the graphics, between the modes and what they've introduced. It brought back an entire brand essentially of sports games into a market that had been forgotten for over a decade. That's not something I kind of just cross or throw away kind of lightly. It does suck that it's not on PC, but as we know for sports games, PC is not really the way or area to play in. Honestly, obviously you can play sports games on PC, and you can even plug in controllers, so there's nothing really inherently wrong with it, especially with this crossplay enabled for most things. It's just sports games I think have been and really always will be a console thing. I play this personally on the Xbox Series X. Review coming soon, by the way. But yeah, that's where I play it, and it's a fantastic game. It brought back one of the most beloved franchises. This game for basically the month before and the month after it released was all anybody was talking about. It's a great game. Obviously, in 5 years, am I going to have this on my list again for being, a great, college football game? Probably not, knowing EA, but for it bringing it back and being so good and such, night and day difference from the last one over a decade ago. Obviously, I feel like it deserved the spot on this, list. Moving to number three, in the top three here, we've got Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is a game I want to say shocked that I didn't see in more Game of the Year contentions or like even mentioned most much for like a lot of different awards and game show stuff because this was a fantastic game. And I know there's the big things against this was the controversy with Sony and PlayStation trying to kind of, meddle in affairs that they really should have left alone there, particularly with the PlayStation account requirements for, PC players and stuff. It had some hiccups for sure. And this also a game that got really hyped up, launched, had a great like month long ish, maybe a little longer span of, it was the talk of the town. It was amazing. Then died, but it is back, and it's been back for the past few weeks here since the new big update, expansion you could honestly call it, dropped. The player count has resurged. There's a lot of new content. It seems like they're going to be developing and kind of continuing this game a lot with content. It's a very developed or a very, I guess you could say engaged development team here. I personally, you know, I love this game. The setting and the story is fantastic. Obviously, Starship Trooper vibes, maxed out, but it's its own thing. It doesn't go too much on the nose of anything. It doesn't. Well, maybe it does, but it doesn't steal like any cues from Starship Trooper or anything too much. It's its own thing. It's amazing combat, amazing worlds, amazing game system. You think a game like this would get repetitive rather quickly, and it looked like that's honestly what was going to happen after that month or so period of explosion. But with new content, new enemies, new lore, new stuff to do, a variety of different game modes and equipment added into the game, this is a fantastic game. As far as shooters go, I think it's personally my second favorite that launched this year. You probably can kind of see. I don't know where my webcam is exactly. You kind of see the first one, but yeah, it's a fantastic game. I mean this and talk about I was talking about the Western audiences versus the Eastern audience. Talk about it. Talk about a difference here, and obviously pretty heavy on the heavy on the nose with the patriotism act with Super Earth and everything. It's a fun game. It's a funny game. It's a great game. It's polished. I mean, it looks great. It runs great. The combat is outstanding. I love the lore. I love the all the gadgets and stuff I can call in and explode. It's just a fun game altogether, and it definitely deserves a spot on this list. And number three, I think, is fairly appropriate for a game that I was shocked didn't get more awards. It didn't even get mentioned for Game of the Year. especially over some stuff like Final Fantasy. No disrespect to that franchise as a whole, but I don't that just didn't seem like it was game of the year material to me. And when we get to number one, I've got a bone to pick with the game of the year, awards for not nominating this. But yeah, number two, Astrobot. So I was just talking about some problems with the game of the year, kind of final field there with the top three and top five. And then Astrobot, which is a lot of people's game of the year, is my second pick, number two out of five here. But I mean, Astrobot is just unbelievable. I mean, it is a fantastic platform. I mean, obviously the all of this game is a bit older, so you don't want to make too many comparisons. Astrobot is like Super Mario Odyssey. Obviously, it's also a 3D platformer, but it's PlayStation's Mario, essentially, is what this is, and it's almost a Mario killer. I think this is better than anything Nintendo's released since Super Mario Odyssey. I think it's honestly better than Odyssey, having played both now. It is a fantastic game. Astrobot's an amazing IP. I think it's a great mascot for them. Obviously, yeah, it's just a 3D platformer, but it is fantastic. It's a lot of fun, a lot of unique levels. This and Astrobot's Playground utilize the DualSense like controllers and all their little features and haptics and everything a lot better than really any other game because it's a first-party Sony game. That's kind of the mascot for it. It's a lot of fun to play. If you've been a PlayStation person all your life, or just a person who's been involved with gaming for a long time, this will hit the nostalgia bug on you pretty hard. Which, yes, maybe it relies on a lot, but it is. I mean, it's a lot of fun regardless of whether you get the references or not. But Astrobot's a fantastic game. It's a fun game. There's nothing to hate here. The reason this game got 10 out of 10s virtually across the board is because there's nothing to nitpick here. There's nothing to nitpick. There's nothing to hate on. This is just a solid, knocked it out of the park. No fuss. Went up to the mount or went up to the base and just fucking knocked it out of the park. Now, well, it's a little suspense, but now we're on to number one, what I think is my personal game of the year, number one out of five on this list, which was a fantastic game. At this point, a lot of people probably could have guessed what this is if you can't see it yet, just because of what I've kind of eliminated from the field already. Oop. It is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. This game is outstanding. I mean, it is. I haven't had this much fun with the kind of like hack and slash Doom style shooter, and so like since Doom Eternal was launched, really. I mean, it is a fantastic game set in a universe with an IP that I just adore. I'm a person who has been in the 40k before this game, both the lore and the miniatures actually, before this game launched. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the series, but I'm not just letting my bias put this at number one. This is a fantastic game. It is just pure fun. Turn your brain off, slay some Tyranids and some, or Chaos Space Marines, and just go at it. It's got an amazing story too. The combat is fluid. It feels fun. It's not too hard. It's not too easy, especially with the difficulty settings. It's a perfect blend of everything. They really knocked it out of the park with this. This game, obviously, I mean, the visuals are outstanding. This game looks and runs beautifully, whether you're on console or PC. It is, I mean, the story, people will complain about, oh, the campaign's not that long. I've never understood people who dismiss a game or knock points off of a game's score because the campaign wasn't like a 50-hour, 100-hour, 150-hour plus just sludge fest of a game. It's like there's not enough content. It's like I'll take a 5-hour campaign, a 10-hour campaign, a 15-hour campaign, whatever it is. A short campaign is what I'm saying. That's amazing over an or average or even slightly above average or below average, of course. Long ass campaign that's just stuffed to the brim with content for content's sake. A good like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a good example of that, where they just beefed that game full of content and it made it way longer than it really needed to be, just to make it longer than it needed to be, and it really made the game worse, if anything. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a perfect length. They told an amazing story. They introduced you to amazing characters with amazing visuals. The combat in this game is the most fun I've had in a long time. It's it's got the campaign and it's got operations. two sides of a same mission and story, basically, for two different perspectives that both equally impact each other. And it's amazing. I think it's a really cool and interesting way to go about that. I commend them for that for sure. And the multiplayer, it's at first glance you think it would be kind of some throwaway, kind of stupid, like just add on some content mode, but it's not. I mean, it's good arcadey multiplayer shooter and melee, of course, given the territory here. Like it's a great multiplayer game. You can choose all the different Space Marine classes. You can have a bunch of different, different kind of classes here, as well as chapters. It's great how the combat works and how kind of interacts with other Space Marines and other people in multiplayer. It's just pure unbridled fun, and I mean, it introduced people into what is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting IPs in in the world, honestly. So I love this game. This is easily my game of the year. How this wasn't, how this didn't win game of the year on more, kind of award shows, or at least get number two or something for most, or didn't get just sweep the board with a ton of awards is beyond me. This game was absolutely fantastic. I love this game, and it easily gets my number one spot. But yeah, with that, that kind of concludes the whole top five list. Those are my top five of the game of the years, ending with Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 here. Let me know what you guys thought of my list, what your kind of opinions on my list were. Let me know if what you think about any of the games on my list, what your favorite game or top three, top five games of the year are. Just comment down that below. I'd love to kind of read through those and see what people's opinions are this year. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel and really shows support. As does your view, which I appreciate. And I really just can't thank you guys enough for the engagement and success I've had since I've been back, and it's been great. I'm just trying to make content that you guys enjoy. So yeah, if you want to, please like and subscribe and comment down below what I said. It really helps the channel, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys had a great 2024. Hope you guys have a great New Year's. Hope you guys have a great 2025. Even though I'll probably see you before that. And yeah, take it easy, guys. Peace.